Kelly was in her car listening to the radio. She was getting ready to go inside the mall to meet her boyfriend, Harry, to roller skate. She grabbed her bag that contained her roller skates and helmet. The Forest Fair Mall was a dead mall in Detroit. The parking lot was in pretty bad shape. There were potholes, broken pavement, and rots all around. This used to be a better part of town, but the neighborhood has really gone downhill. The mall hadn't been demolished, mostly because the land it was on was worthless for most developers. The exterior of the mall definitely had an 80s vibe to it. It was huge with many entrances now blocked off from entry, but there was still one entrance left open. So Kelly got out of her car and walked towards that entrance. The open entrance used to house a toy store, the Children's Palace, long since closed. Some of the letters on the sign had since fallen off. The other letters were rusted. The turrets and arches that hung above the entrance were worn and dilapidated, looking as if they would fall off at any moment. Kelly was looking all around as she went inside. You can't be too careful here, especially by yourself. It wasn't uncommon to accidentally step on used needle containers here. She exited the toy store and was in the main plaza of the mall. The plaza had 3 levels, and she was on the bottom one. Nothing was occupied technically on the top 2 levels, but she'd heard rumors that it housed squatters. Across from the toy store was a former Gold Cinema theater. There would be DIY shows of bands from time to time inside the theater. There was a goth punk band setting up for a show later that night. The poster taped to the theater entrance said it was Abomination Proclamation, Rotten Salad, and Dead in the Alley. Quite the band names, Kelly thought. In front of the theater there was a DIY skating rink. It took up the big center plaza. The skating rink had a few slopes and turns with the ramps. There was a bowl in the middle of the rink. The fun box was to the left of it. She was looking forward to skating tonight. She looked and saw her boyfriend Harry at the bar. He had a few empty shot glasses in front of him. Kelly thought, he never wants to start drinking with me. The bar was behind the rink and right in front of the theater entrance. She walked around the skating rink to get to the bar. Once she got there, she ran up and hugged Harry and gave him a kiss. Harry said, "Great to see you, Kelly. I brought my new skates. I'm ready to go whenever you are." Kelly said, "Just about ready. Going to get a drink first from Peepaw." Peepaw was the bartender and owner of, well, what was left of the mall anyway. He was a man in his late 60s with gray hair. He wore enormous, oversized glasses. From what Kelly heard, he used to own the theater and a couple of shops here, Peepaw's Records and Peepaw's Cafe. Both were now long gone, sadly. Peepaw was a relic, something from the past still around to remind us of the times gone by. Much like the mall, he hadn't aged well. Kelly turned to face Peepaw behind the bar. Peepaw asked, "What will it be?" She replied, "The regular." He handed her a shot of scotch. She drank it quickly. It was a long week at work and she hated her job. She really wanted to punch her boss in the face. She turned to Peepaw and asked, "Can I get a couple more shots?" "Of course," said Peepaw. She gulped them down quickly. Peepaw said, "I still have some seats for sale at the theater for the show tonight. If you're just skating, Harry has already covered the cost for you." Kelly said, "Thanks, Peepaw. I'll see how I feel afterwards. Can you give me another shot to go?" Peepaw put the shot in a McDonald's cup and closed the lid on it. It looked like it was from 30 years ago. She put it in her bag. She put on her skates and helmet and started skating with Harry on the rink. She really felt alive, moving up the ramps and then trying out some new moves. Tonight she was really hoping to improve her spread eagle and spine transfer. Kelly was trying out a sow cow when she suddenly slipped and hit her head on the floor. She was wearing a helmet, which did take most of the blow, but she still blacked out. When she woke up, she was on the ground where she fell. She felt a bit dizzy and had a slight headache, but nothing too serious. Damn, that was an epic skating fail, she thought. She slowly got up and was a bit disoriented when she noticed her left leg was a bit sore. I must have hit it on the ramp, she thought. She looked around. No one else was there. Peepaw wasn't behind the bar and Harry was nowhere to be seen. For that matter, no one else was around. Kelly was utterly alone. She opened her bag and got the to-go shot. She drank it. She was going to need it. She double-checked and looked to the left and right of her. All she saw was a graffiti covering every inch of the wall space in the mall. She looked at the theater and thought they must have gone inside. Where else could they be in this dilapidated dead mall? She went through the theater entrance. The entrance had a ticket stand, long since shuttered. The floor in the theater plaza area had pink and blue tiles in the 1980s, many of which were worn with age. On the wall hung a pink neon sign that read, "Welcome to Gold Cinema." Sadly, it didn't light up. There were tables out with t-shirts, tapes, records, and CDs for the show, but no one was around, not even a merch dude. There was a shuttered concession stand with an old popcorn maker and a soda dispenser. Neither had been used for ages, and they were collecting dust and spider webs. Past this was a hallway with a door in the center that hung wide open. The few theaters to the right and to the left of the path were locked and shuttered with bars. The only open theater was the one in the center, right in front of her. She walked into the dimly lit theater. She could see very little except for the white theater screen and stage right in front. The music equipment was there, but no one was on the stage or in the seats. The pinkish red theater seats looked sticky and were falling apart. The fabric on the seats were a tacky carpet design of blues, purples, and green stripes. She yelled out, "Hello!" No one replied. However, the white screen lit up. It was a brighter light now. Kelly looked up to the projection booth. It was on. She could see the light coming from the projector, but little else. Kelly hesitated, but reluctantly proceeded to the door in the back of the theater. The door was wide open, with dim lighting that showed a spiral wood staircase that she assumed would lead her to the projection booth. Someone had to be up there running it. She started to climb the thin and rotting steps and was worried about stepping right through them. She slowly moved to the top of the stairs and walked into the projection room. There was no one else in the room. The old projection machine, which was turned on, played celluloid films, but there was no film inserted into it, and it certainly didn't take digital film. The room was lined with bookshelves stacked with canisters of film that were collecting dust and cobwebs. For a time after the mall's decline, this became an X-rated theater. Now it's mostly a music venue, but Peepaw usually has a monthly second Saturday all-day showing of the X-rated features. However, that was not tonight. What was going on? She looked at the screen through the projector window. The white screen turned black. Did it turn off, she thought? She shuddered. She looked at the projector again. It was still on. Suddenly, the screen showed a grainy black and white image of a repulsive, unkempt man with bulging eyes, pasty skin, and warts. He said, "I'm watching you." Then the screen went black. The screen then came back on. She looked only for a moment and closed her eyes. It was him, though without any clothes on. He started making weird noises. She covered her ears for what seemed like an eternity, till it stopped once again. What was this, some kind of joke, she thought? Who was that hideous man? Something about him was familiar. Kelly couldn't quite put her finger on it, though. How could the projector be playing without film? She started to head back down the stairs. Suddenly someone sprang up from the pile of boxes and films which knocked many of the other film canisters to the floor. Kelly screamed before she could even see who it was. It was an old man she didn't recognize. She screamed, "Keep away." The man seemed extremely drunk and disoriented. He said, "Watch out for the dude." Dude. He then fell to the exit of the doorway and then down the stairs. She heard a loud crash and saw that the stairs had all been broken and the wood chunks were everywhere. The drunk man was laying lifelessly at the bottom of the stairs, or what was left of them anyway. How was she going to get down? She looked at the projector window. It was only about 15 feet from the floor. She was going to exit that way. There was no other way out. So she pushed herself through the small opening of the edge of the window and the projector. She started to hang down. Just then, the screen came back on. The same man was there. He said, "I'm watching you, Kelly." The screen then went black again. Kelly was terrified. She had to escape from here. She jumped down to the floor. Her sore leg hurt from the fall, but nothing too bad. She rushed to the exit, but 7 old men were blocking it. She said, help me, I think someone is in here with me. What are you doing here, if I may ask?" One of the men said, "Peepaw always gets the schedule confused and double books. This was supposed to be the showing of Wet Dreams on Elm Street. We chased those punks out of here and told them to get their equipment in the morning." Kelly said, "The projector, it's broken. I mean, you can't even get up the stairs to." The old men laughed. The one who spoke before said, "Well, I suppose that's all right. Maybe you could provide us with a stage show. We'll help," he giggled. She screamed and started to run past. One of the men grabbed her, but she kicked him in the crotch and ran out. Dirty old pervert, she thought. She then ran out as fast as she could and out of the theater and around the rink to the toy store. She stopped inside to catch her breath. She then heard something. "Hey!" She screamed and turned around. It was Harry. She hugged him. "Harry, what's going on? Someone is spying on me. "We need to get to the police." Harry said, we will, but for now you're safe with me." They started to passionately make out for a few minutes, but during this, Kelly had a weird feeling. She couldn't place it. He definitely had alcohol in his breath, but there was something else. What was wrong? Harry seemed like he always did. His face, his voice, though it reminded her of... She gasped. She looked at Harry again, and on his face, makeup appeared to be coming off. He started to laugh in a mincing way. She screamed. He ripped off more of the overlay and makeup. He was the creepy, ugly man in the film. "Thanks for the good time, Kelly, especially the good time last week." He laughed, then Kelly's throat was in her stomach. She couldn't even comprehend what was going on. The man said, "You're mine, there's no escape." Kelly was crying. "Where's Harry? What have you done to him?" The old man laughed. "I was Harry. I have always been Harry. I can put on the makeup again and it'll be just like it was before," he said in a creepy tone. She punched him. He growled and got a knife out. "If I can't have you, no one will," he laughed. "I enjoyed the moves you had in the bedroom." Kelly didn't say anything. From her inner coat pocket, she got a Smith & Wesson Model 500 Magnum out. The man's eyes were wide open. "Since when do you have a gun?" Kelly said, "I don't tell my boyfriend everything." She shot him twice in the crotch and he fell to the floor. She walked up to the body. She was so out of breath. This evening was way too much. Suddenly she felt something on her ankle. The man grabbed her and scrambled for the knife. He belched. Kelly said, "You know what your problem is? You can't even hold your alcohol. You don't deserve an open casket funeral." He said, "What?" Kelly shot his head clean off, then the pressure from his hand was gone. She kicked him to the side before running towards the door. She ran towards the exit to the parking lot. Inside of the toy store, the old cabinets were in disarray, indicating a recent struggle. She saw Peepaw locked in the cage in the toy store. Kelly shot off the padlock, unlocking the cage, and he slowly got out. It looked like he got knocked around, but nothing too serious, she thought. Peepaw said, "Thanks. He was saving me for last. I owe you, Kelly. Thank you so much." Kelly asked, "Peepaw, I'm still really confused. What just happened? Who was that creepy old man?" Peepaw explained. "He and I were co-owners for a few of the stores that were once here. I had him kicked out by the previous owner of the mall because he was getting too handsy with many of the employees. Eventually, the police got involved and he did some time for it. I really don't know what he was doing here because technically he's still banned from entering the mall." Kelly asked, "What happened to Harry?" Peepaw sighed. "Brian, my business partner, apparently he had been spying on me for a while now. At first I didn't think anything of it, but he must have dedicated the last couple of years into putting this plan into action." Kelly said, "You mean?" Peepaw said, "I'm afraid so. Harry was always Brian." Always Brian, she thought? She had been with Harry for 2 years. That means that they... Ew, she thought. Suddenly she felt really, really dirty. I'm gonna go home, drink mouthwash, and take a shower for about a month. Peepaw said, "We'll have to go to the police about this, but before we do, how about a sweet smoke?" Kelly said, "Totally, you're a godsend."